Welcome back in one of the Best Probably's YouTube channel. Today is Wednesday, October 8th. I'm back breaking down some Conference USA football on a Wednesday night. Only doing one of the two games. I will give you a lean for the Liberty and UTEP game. I've seen both of those teams play this season. UTEP against Texas, Liberty the first game of the season whenever they almost lost as like a 20-point favorite, but we're going to talk about that game as well as Middle Tennessee going up against Missouri State in the Conference USA. Before we do that, let's take a look at the games that we had from last Saturday. We had a pretty good day, 9-6 total, 7-5 of the game picks, 2-1 of the player props. Game picks, Georgia minus 20.5. Kentucky made an interesting. Georgia, we all knew that it was probably going to be a stomping. Iowa State, horrible. They were out of that game immediately, got themselves back in it. Some very questionable calls late in the game. I don't know what the kid was doing, just running out of bounds at the end of the game. I was hoping for maybe a miracle, but no, he decided to just jog out of bounds instead of trying to get the touchdown. Fine with me. Illinois minus 9.5 gets the job done as well against Purdue. Florida plus 6.5 outright going up against Texas. I had that plus 4.5, plus 6.5, and on the money line. Texas is bad. Arch Manning is not a very good quarterback right now. That is not saying that Arch Manning might not be able to get to an elite quarterback, but he's just not good right now. And I am firm stance on Arch Manning not being a very good quarterback right now. Bama gets the job done going up against Vanderbilt minus 10.5, a late touchdown to cover that game. Diego Pavia did a lot, but he had too many turnovers against that Bama team. Louisville losing outright against Virginia. Penn State losing outright against UCLA. No words. Florida State, they tried to cover late, but they kicked the field goal instead of going for the touchdown. Lose that one by 7 or 8. Doesn't matter. It lost. Memphis minus 20.5 rolls over. Rice, TCU minus 13.5 wins it by 14 against Colorado. Texas A&M rolls over Mississippi State. It took a little bit for them to get going. Mississippi State played a very good first quarter, pretty good second quarter as well. And then Texas A&M just outclassed them in the second half. So those are the 12 games, 7-5 on the day. Actually, it was technically 7-4 on the day, but I put the New Mexico loss in there because if you took the games on Friday, you lost New Mexico. So I didn't think it was fair. If even one person took it, it's a loss. So 7-5, 2-1 of the player props. Only loser, surprisingly, was Arch Manning, and that's because they were down by so many points. They had to force the ball down the field, and even when they were trying to force the ball down the field, he almost didn't get the over. So it took him on the last drive to get the over. Really sucked because the other two player props hit, and I always put those in a parlay. Maury Thompson for Houston had a long touchdown catch very early in the game. That one cashed 39.5, I think it was, for his receiving yards. Then Bernard for Alabama, he almost hit in the first half. He had 60 at the half, 80s plus in the game. So both the other player props hit. 2-1 of the player props. Let's talk about some Missouri State football going up against Middle Tennessee, Conference USA. Both these teams coming in with an 0-1 start to conference play. Both these teams also coming off of a bye week. I think that is important. So both of these teams have had a little bit of opportunity to rest, and I know Missouri State definitely needed a little bit of rest because their best player, their quarterback, has been on the injury report the last 2 weeks, went out of the game in their last one. So this is a very big bye week for them. Middle Tennessee 1-4, Missouri State 2-3 on the year. Middle Tennessee also coming off of a bye week. Their last loss was against Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State was a 7-point dog. They win that game outright. 16-24 in favor of Kennesaw State. They were up by 20. They were up 21-3 in a blink of an eye in the first quarter. Even though Kennesaw State got out produced, I guess, on the offensive side by over 100 yards, they still win the game by 8 points because Middle Tennessee had a couple turnovers and they just could not stop killing themselves, turning the ball over and then giving up some big plays on the defensive side. So Middle Tennessee coming into this game 1-4, so far on paper, one of the worst teams so far in college football. I mean, Kennesaw State's not good by any means. I'm not saying that Missouri State's outclass Middle Tennessee in this game, but if you take a look at the previous matchups that these teams have had and you look at the common opponents, you have to give the nod to Missouri State here. Plus, the best player on the field is their quarterback, which I will get into this on the second point for Missouri State, but I wanted to point out the matchups that Middle Tennessee and Missouri State have had. Middle Tennessee has lost to Kennesaw State, Marshall. They beat Nevada, a very, 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 very bad Nevada team by 1 point. They lost to Wisconsin by 32. Wisconsin's not good whatsoever. For Missouri State, they lost by 5 points in the last game going up against Western Kentucky. The Western Kentucky quarterback, Maverick McIver, He's a very good quarterback. They limited him. He still had 300-plus yards, but they only had one touchdown. That was a very close game. And also, Missouri State's quarterback went out in the first half, so they could have won that game. It was 22-27 at the end of that one. So Missouri State was very live against Western Kentucky, even though they were a dog. They lost to SMU, who's a decent team. They lost that game 10-28. They beat Marshall outright. Both of these teams have played Marshall. Missouri State won that game 21-20 2 weeks ago, or I should say 3 weeks ago for Missouri State on September 20th. So 2 weeks ago for Middle Tennessee, they lost to Marshall 28-42. So that Middle Tennessee defense is giving up a ton of points this season. I do think that's where we're just going to attack. I think the offense will be the difference in this game. And like I said, I've got a lot of notes on the quarterback here for Missouri State. Let's just get into it. Missouri State, they had the bye week. I'm looking at it right now. Beard, the head coach, told reporters on Friday, day-to-day, it said it wasn't out of the realm of the possibility for him to return on Wednesday night, which is 11 days after he sustained his injury. They asked him if he tore some ligaments in his knee because he was in a boot and he was on crutches during the bye week on the sideline. But he says no, he is day-to-day. He is projected to play in this game. He is on FanDuel already, DraftKings, whatever you use. His player props are out there. So I have to go under the assumption that he's going to be playing in this game. If he does not play in this game, I'm still taking Missouri State. The freshman Deuce Bailey, he was thrown in there going up against Western Kentucky. He did a really good job in the second half. He's not as dynamic as Jacob Clark, but he can get the job done going up against this Middle Tennessee team. Western Kentucky is a huge step up from Middle Tennessee. I think Deuce, if he does have to play, he'll be okay. But if Jacob Clark plays, this should be a no-doubter. Missouri State wins this game. Give me the -2.5. Middle Tennessee's defense through the air, they've been really bad this season. Middle Tennessee hasn't been able to move the ball a ton this year, going up against a little bit better opponents that are not named Kennesaw State. Give me Missouri State here, -2.5 as the play. For the player props, we're going to talk about the Liberty and UTEP game just a little bit. Liberty this season, only one win. UTEP, a couple wins. UTEP has played Texas, and we all know now that Texas is not even a top 25 team. Sure, they've got a lot of talent, but they don't play well together. Arch Manning has not been the guy. I'm not entirely sure how much I got put into UTEP, hanging with Texas, because Texas really hasn't shown me anything. Florida is not a good. They're not a good team. They've got talent. The defensive line is great. The offensive line has improved a lot, and they were one of the better offensive line coming into this season. Other than that, DJ Lagway, I was high on him the last couple of years, but he just doesn't have it. I don't know. Him and Arch, it's just weird with these young quarterbacks. DJ, not that young. He's been in the league for, I think this is year 3 for him. But Billy Napier saved his job for now, but that Florida gauntlet that they have, I think he's not going to be able to save his job for next year. But let's talk about Liberty really quick. Sorry, I got off on the tangent there about UTEP. Both these teams are pretty similar. UTEP is very, very bad at stopping the run, and that's exactly what Liberty wants to do. They want to run the ball in this game. They've been running it all season long. They've got almost over 1,000 yards on the ground this season and 800 yards through the air. Their quarterback, Vesco, I know the name I think it was Coastal Carolina. Vesco. Let's just double check. I'm almost positive that's the guy from Coastal Carolina a couple years ago. And it is. He started at Kansas. Wow. It is. At Coastal Carolina, 2,120 yards this season. And he's just he'll show flashes, but he's just not a guy. So they're not going to be able to throw the ball a ton in this game. And it doesn't matter. UTEP's been pretty good through the air this season on the defensive side, but they haven't been able to stop the run whatsoever. So Liberty keep the ball on the ground. They win this game on the ground. And on the counterpoint, it's strength against weakness, weakness against strength, because Liberty's secondary this season has been one of the best in college football. I don't know if that's because of who they played. They've been getting blown out in these games, and they haven't been able to been thrown on because everybody's just running the ball on them. But I do know that UTEP's going to want to throw the ball, and on paper, Liberty's defense has been pretty good this year. So if you need to take a side in that game, I would take Liberty, -1.5. We are going to take Evan Dickens, the running back for Liberty. Now, he is technically in concussion protocol. He had a minor concussion, I guess, in his last game, but remember that was 11 days ago. Both these teams coming off bye week. He has been at practice. He has been in non-contact drills. So if he does not go, which I really hope he does, because on the season, 65 carries, 344 yards. He's been the bulk back for Liberty this season. But if he does not go in this game, Caden Williams, the backup, came in going up against Delaware, given 15, 20 touches in the game, almost got 100 yards on the ground. Let's just make sure his official stat line. 18 carries, 85 yards, 4.7 carries per touch. So, that's a very good, reliable option for me if Evan Dickens does not play. And like I said, Liberty's going to keep the ball on the ground. So either Evan Dickens over his rushing yards, and I didn't put a prop out there because it's not out yet because he's still very injured apparently. If he does not play, Caden Williams over total rushing yards for the other play. We're going to go back to Missouri State. Hopefully, quarterback play is not an impact in this game. I don't think it will be. It looks like he's probably going to play, but we're going to go with Dash Luke. This guy's frisky, and this guy's fast. 5'8", 175 pounds. He can get lost in the secondary, and over the last 3 games, he's had 71-plus yards through the air in all 3 games. Against SMU, 80 yards, 110 yards 2 games ago, and then Western Kentucky, he had 71 on 3 catches. So he's going to be looked at. He's the leading receiver on this team by a wide margin, 10-plus catches, over 100 yards more than anybody else on the team. So give me Dash Luke as the other receiving prop. All the plays, Missouri State, -2.5. If you need the Liberty game, I'd lean Liberty -1.5. Evan Dickens over the rushing yards. If you can't, take Caden, the backup, if Evan does not play. And then finally, Dash Luke over 62.5 receiving yards going up against Middle Tennessee. Guys, it's going to do it for the NCAA football picks and props for Wednesday, October 8th slate of games. If you guys enjoyed the content, please drop like this video, and thanks for watching.